we are at our last lesson in this Introduction to Green Sorcery course. Hopefully you found some inspiration, some ideas, and lots of more questions have come up for you in this process. That's the point of it. Feel free to send me anything you want to talk about or just connect with the plant spirits and see where things take you. In this final lesson, I want to talk about becoming green-blooded, how we can go deeper into the work. What's the next step now that we've explored some of these fundamentals? Now what, right? So the first is a gentle reminder, but the most important reminder that everything we do is about cultivating and nourishing deep personal relationships with the plant spirits. That's the end goal. People can get really spun out and really hung up on this idea that this is the beginning step and that there must be something more esoteric after, and the answer to that is no. The relationships are everything, and they will take you wherever you need to go. That it seems simple. Oh yeah, sorcery is just about creating relationships with spirits. Green sorcery is about creating relationships with plant spirits. But the minute you start doing that, everything begins to change. You begin to change, your relationship with the world changes, what you have access to in the world of spirit starts to change. And so all of that stuff, which is impossible to describe and impossible to teach, thankfully happens on its own. You don't have to worry too much about it. Why we step into this work and put the time and the energy, the dedication into relating more deeply with the plant spirits, for some of us, we don't have an option. They call and they poke and prod until we show up. For others, going back to our first lesson, we realize that the human experience is completely wrapped up in and dependent on the providence of the plants. That our food, fuel, fiber, building materials, art, inspiration, everything, medicine, comes from the plant world. And so to engage more directly with them is to engage more directly with the wholeness of things, to be more part of, to enter into deeper states of alignment and harmony with nature itself. And so for me, my perspective, it just makes sense to hang out with the plants, even if this doesn't become somebody's big obsession in life like it is mine. To have the ability to be in deep rapport with the plants who take such good care of us is really a good thing. And it opens up our lives to more luck, to more blessings, to more harmony, to more synchronicity, and so that we can just go with the flow, be with the flow of nature instead of constantly having to figure stuff out and fight our way, into spaces. So it's all about relationships. When you get lost, if you get confused or frustrated, just come back to sitting with the plants, breathing with the plants, following the medicine, observing the plants, right? Just keep it simple. From there, as they get in and open our hearts and expand our ability to perceive, we'll go to the next place on its own. It's a self-fulfilling path, right? So that's super cool. And everybody gets to embody it in their own way. Another way that we can go deeper into the green-blooded experience, into plant sorcery, is to get a little more serious with holding aspects of lore and gnosis, one in each hand, right? We want both. This is not an all or nothing, zero-sum game. This is not a one is better than the other. This is a very liminal experience. We're protecting the duality like plants do of lore, the traditions, the stories, the myths about the plants that have been handed down from our ancestry, and then the gnosis, the ways that we personally experience the plants, what they teach us, what they bring us, what they tell us, right? And that when we can hold both of these things together, then we really understand the plants. Then we really get the full teaching. Sometimes what we experience from a plant when we sit with them or dream about them or just intuit how it feels to be in their presence, maybe we can't find any reference to that in a book. We read all the lore, we read all the monographs, the materia medica, nothing. There's nothing that supports our experience. Okay, so now the work is to look at what has been handed down ancestrally through empirical evidence about this plant, and what are you experiencing, and how can they be connected? Where is the link? Where is the overlap? And what is the power in that overlap? It's a really fun part of this to get down and mind map about your experiences with a plant and the experiences of other people that have been so consistent that they've been handed down generation after generation. It doesn't mean that they're wrong because your experience is different, and it does not mean that you're wrong because your experience is different. Again, this is relationship. So the way you and I might relate and what might come up for us in our relationship might be totally different from how you relate to somebody else, right? We inspire and we bring up things in other people based on what's created between us. So we have to make room for that. With plants particularly, because oftentimes we are touching them and ingesting them, we like to run our gnosis through a little filter of safe, sane, and consensual, meaning that if you're getting feedback that you should eat a poisonous plant, we need to check maybe how you're getting your information or who you're working with, but that doesn't really happen. Part of why we like to do lore and gnosis is because the lore will always keep us grounded. It'll always say, hey, since time immemorial, when people ate this plant, they died. So it kind of inspires you to not eat that plant. And that if that plant wants to work with you, you know that you will sew them into a sachet and carry them in your pocket, or keep a dried piece of them on your altar, not put them in your body, right? Doesn't mean you can't relate, just means you can't relate internally. So lore and gnosis. The next thing, there's no substitute for personal experience. And when it comes to the industry of herbalism, this is something that lacks in 99% of people. Lots of folks know a lot of things, but not a lot of folks have done a lot of things. So have experiences, go sit with the plants, do rituals, take the medicine, make the medicine, get your entire being involved. Don't just sit and watch videos. Don't just sit and read. Don't even just sit and meditate. These are things done more than they are things thought, right? So that experience shakes things up in our blood. It awakens ancestral wisdom in our bones. And it is an investment of energy that actually means something to the plant spirits. So show up and do the work. Don't let yourself make excuses. If things get too complicated, simplify them, but still do something, right? This is very important. Doing the work is part of good energy ecology. All of nature hustles. There's a lot of stuff that goes around on social media and stuff right now that don't hustle, don't work hard, don't try, just, get into your self-care mode and stay there all the time. I appreciate self-care as much as the next person, and I think rest is sacred, but we have to work hard. We have to work relatively hard, sometimes incredibly hard, to get where we want to go, in the same way that bees work incredibly hard to keep their hives filled with honey, in the same way that beavers work incredibly hard to build a dam during the right season when that's possible for them, or bears work incredibly hard to hunt and fish in order to put on the weight they need to put on to sustain them through the winter. Hard work is part of it. The good thing is that we can find a great deal of pleasure in hard work. Hard work does not necessarily mean misery and suffering. In our capitalist society, we equate work with suffering, right? Because for a lot of folks it is. But the idea of work doesn't have to, it can be fun. You can actually work and have fun at the same time. Hopefully that's what you're doing with this stuff. So put the work in, have personal experiences, show up, sit when you're uncomfortable, do ritual aligned to the seasons, steward the plants even when you're tired. It goes a long way. Another aspect that I think is important is the plant spirit familiars, which are the plants that over time, over years and years of working with green sorcery, working with plant spirits, there are one or two or several that really just become constant voices in our work. They show up for us over and over again. We are excited to see them. We're excited to taste their medicine. We keep places of honor for them in our lives, in our hearts, on our altars, whatever. These are plants that continually teach us. They show up for us. They inspire us. They're the ones that tell us no. They're the ones that tell us we're wrong. They're the ones that tell us we have work to do. They're not just always telling us, you're doing so good, everything's fine, love and light. No, we want to grow. We want to be willing to be taught, right? To be corrected when we're wandering down a path that's leading nowhere, or leading somewhere destructive. So these plant spirit allies are the first ones to step up and say, hey, step it back a few. Let's reassess, right? If you're not being told no in your work with the plant spirits, you might just be talking to yourself, which we all do. And that's okay in certain situations, but it's not sorcery. So really, be open to these deep relationships with individual plant spirits who act as your teacher. They act as your initiator. They act as your guide and your protector in this work. People ask about protection all the time because we're doing work with spirits. Look, if you're in relationship with even one plant a little bit, this is all the protection you need. You are asking for protection when doing work in the world of spirit, so have allies who are rooted in the world of spirit, and you'll be fine. Like it really, it doesn't need to be anything more than that. Our plant spirit familiars are part of why this work is so cool, that we get to enter into these deep relationships with a non-human person and learn from them and walk huge parts of our lives with them by our side. It's pretty amazing. Participate in the ways that plants show up in our world. Watch how they grow, how they take care of the animals and insects who call them home, how they feed us, how they give us fiber and fuel and beauty and shelter from the sun. Really engage with what they're actually doing. It's very easy for us to just walk by the plants. Oh, so pretty, whatever, and just kind of keep going. Stop and go deeper. Stop and really see how that plant is showing up, how they hold space, how it feels to stand or sit next to them. Who else is there besides you? You can learn so much of a plant by seeing how the insects come to them, or the animals come to them, or how the plant changes its feeling or its position or its behavior at different times of the day or throughout the different seasons of the year. And this seems like one directional observation, but it's actually communication. The plants very much communicate to us by how they hold space in our world. Remember that they are otherworldly beings through and through. The plant spirits are rooted in the other world and fruited in our world. So how they show up, the colors, the fragrances, the textures, the time of year, this is all them teaching us. They're communicating to you. They're telling you, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is what I bring. So we have to open ourselves up to be able to walk down the street and let all of that in. Let all of the who of the plants flood in. This opens us up to deeper connections and relationships with the plants. So in this, our last lesson, something actionable, I invite you to enter into a relationship of stewardship with a plant. And maybe this is a plant you already have a connection to, or that you're already stewarding. And maybe this is going to be something very new to you. So stewardship means that we use our virtues, our vital force. We use the magic and the medicine we create in service of the plants in the same way that they do all of that for us, right? We talk a lot about plant spirit virtues and vital force and the magic and the medicine of the plants. It's a lot of like us taking from them or receiving from them. So let's flip the script and let's recognize that we are also part of nature and we're also important, and that we also have our own magic and medicine, our own virtues, our own talents, abilities, areas of influence, and let's give some of that back. So stewardship is about finding a plant or plants that you can put, I always say, put your thumbs into, right? Like we have opposable thumbs, which allow us to do lots of really cool things in the world, to make things, to craft and art. So Find a tree or a group of trees in a public park and make it your responsibility. Take it personally that those trees are well taken care of. Go through once or twice a week, clean up litter, make sure that they're being told that you appreciate them. Maybe if there's dead wood, if it's safe, it's in a place where you can do this, clean that up. Bring them offerings of water, sit with them, encourage other people to sit with them, learn about them, acknowledge that they're there, but take care of them. This might be that you grow a particular plant in your garden from seed or from start, and you participate in caring for that plant as an icon for the plant spirit themselves through their whole life cycle. Again, keeping them well watered, well shaded, well thanked, picking up any litter, any trash around, really just taking care of them. Get involved with using your thumbs, using, which is not a literal thing necessarily, but using what you're good at, what you can do that's different than what the plants can do in service of the plants. Sometimes that is sitting with them a couple of times a month and reading to them, reciting poetry, singing songs to them, using your voice, because that's a thing that maybe you have, right? So get involved with stewardship in real life, in the world. Get out and put your feet on the dirt. Again, can be in your own backyard, can be in a pot in your house, can be a tree in a forest, in a public park. Show some love, put your action where your intentions are, and you will be very impressed with where this goes. It changes things very quickly. People always, if they hit a stall point in this work, like, I feel called by the plants, but just nothing's happening. Do more, invest more, practice energy ecology. Make sure that all the things you're hoping to get from your work with plant spirits, that somehow you're giving as well. If you're not giving, you're not creating any space within yourself to receive. All of this work is based on sacred reciprocity, right? That infinite cycle of gift, receive, gift, receive. So sometimes we think we're doing a lot, but what we're doing is like a lot of thinking, right? A lot of reading, a lot of watching. And we're not doing a lot of doing. And it's in the doing where the energy is expended, where the space is held. Just like if the plant spirits just hung out in the green realm thinking about what they would like to do, we would never see a plant or a tree, a flower or fruit in our world at all. It's in that process of growth and embodiment and doing where the magic happens. So here's your invitation to stewardship. Let me know what you choose to do and how it feels and what it opens for you, because this is a very big part of the work, especially after the previous lessons and the things that we've experienced. So hopefully you enjoyed the course. Let me know what you think. Let me know where it takes you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.